There are some houses that people move into, and then there are houses that were never empty to begin with. This story was sent to me by someone who asked me not to share their name. They only said one thing before sending the story. If you ever move into an old countryside house, listen carefully during the first night, because sometimes you're not the first one living there. The house sat about 30 minutes outside a small town. Nothing around it except empty fields, thin woods, one long gravel road. The guy who sent this story said he rented it because it was cheap. Too cheap. The landlord barely asked any questions. Just, "You can move in tomorrow if you want." That should have been the first red flag. But when you're desperate for a place, cheap rent can make you ignore a lot of things. The house itself was old, not abandoned, but the kind of old that feels like people stopped caring about it years ago. The wood floor creaked, the walls had faint stains, and the air inside the house felt strangely heavy, but nothing was obviously wrong. At least, not yet. The first night was quiet, almost too quiet. No traffic, no neighbors, no sounds except the wind moving through the trees outside. Around 2:17 a.m., he woke up suddenly. Not from a noise, but from a feeling. That strange instinct you get when something feels wrong. At first he thought maybe it was just the unfamiliar house, but then he noticed something. A sound, very faint, coming from the hallway. Not footsteps, not exactly. More like something slowly dragging across the floor, and it stopped right outside his bedroom door. Then there was silence, complete silence, for almost a full minute, and then 3 slow knocks. He froze. Because he lived alone, there shouldn't have been anyone in the house. He waited. No more knocks. Just silence again. So eventually he convinced himself it was just the house settling. Old houses make noises. Everyone says that. But then he saw something that made his stomach drop. There was a shadow under the door, moving, slowly, like someone standing on the other side, except the shadow looked wrong. It wasn't shaped like a person. It looked longer, distorted, and it wasn't standing still. It was slowly swaying. We moved there because it was cheap. Too cheap for the size. 2 bedrooms, 1 floor, surrounded by open fields. Nearest neighbor was about half a mile away. Landlord didn't show up in person. He left the keys in the mailbox. Said he was busy out of town. That should have been a red flag. But cheap rent makes you ignore instincts. The first night was quiet. Too quiet, but we joked about it. When you grow up around city noise, silence feels dramatic. No traffic, no dogs barking, no insects even. That part I remember clearly. No insects, even in the countryside. The second night I noticed something small. The hallway light flickered. Not rapidly, just once, like it dipped for half a second. I looked at her. She didn't react, so I told myself it was wiring. Old houses do that, even though it wasn't that old. By the end of the first week, we were both sleeping less, not intentionally. We'd go to bed around midnight, but I'd wake up at 3 every night, not from a noise, not from a dream, just suddenly awake, fully alert, like someone had said my name, and the house would feel different at that hour, heavier, thicker, like the silence had texture.